Thank you very much. I'll try to be very brief. Let me thank you all on behalf of the International Trade Union Confederation, first of all, for organizing this international symposium and for facilitating a very rich and inspiring discussions that have taken place in these 2 days. I'm really happy to be here in person as well. First of all, let me say that it's really been great to hear to the great developments and institutional changes, knowledge sharing that has been undertaken throughout this program, and all the learning that has come from it. And I've been really, it's really inspiring and hopeful to hear that we all agree that we cannot decrease attention to this topic, and we need to continue and to look forward on the work on developing sustainable, adequate and comprehensive social protection system. The social protection and public finance management project has been important, and we've seen it in supporting domestic level discussions on financing social protection and identifying also the need for fiscal space and for expanding the fiscal space at the domestic level. This has been really, really key. And we have seen concretely also how many governments have the means to expand social protection at the domestic level through improving the financing base. I think you mentioned that yesterday during this first informal session. Through leveraging progressive forms of taxation, moving away from regressive forms of taxation, expanding social security contributions in a fair way. However, we know, and this has also been mentioned during some panels, that there is a need for a greater international support on financing for social protection. And yes, the Global Accelerator could really provide a path forward on this. Needless to say, the labor movement is really fully committed towards the extension of social protection coverage to the more than 4 billion people that are currently excluded from support, as well as supporting the creation of quality, decent jobs. And therefore, it didn't come as a surprise when last November at our World Congress, our affiliates gave us full mandate to support the Global Accelerator, which is now one of our highest political priorities and really, top priorities in our work with the UN. And so we're really committed to use our capacities to support its implementation. We welcome the Global Accelerator since its announcement in 2021, as we really believe it offers an opportunity to achieve universal social protection and full employment. So what did we do? Since its launch, we tried to share as much information as possible on the relevance of the Global Accelerator in our related work streams, and we will connect UN and trade union staff in Pathfinder countries and in countries that are not involved yet. We'll try to let them mainstream the main objectives of the Global Accelerator into their planning and their related budgets. Delivering on the Global Accelerator, we know that will require strengthen international financing as well, and we welcome the creation of a new dedicated window of the joint SDG fund. But this may be a bit lower than what is actually needed to close financing gaps to deliver on social protection. So we're really calling for greater international commitments for that, and especially to support low-income countries that themselves could not probably expand coverage to all people in need. We are calling together with some NGOs, a lot of NGOs that are also in the Global Coalition for Social Protection floors, for a global social protection fund that would be, in our view, a good complementary measure, not exclusive to this scenario of the Global Accelerator. In addition, trade unions, together with civil society organizations and NGOs, have been calling for increased share of official development assistance allocated to social protection. It's been really incredibly low. In some countries, as low as 1% of ODA goes to social protection. Now is around 2% on average, and We ask to increase that to at least 7% by 2030 and then possibly increase it further. And this, together with the Global Fund on Social Protection, could maybe help pool and mobilize ODA also to go more towards social protection. On this, with trade unions, we're organizing OECD DAC forums with trade unions in September this year. And we're really happy to hear that work on multilateral coherence is being carried on, as well as the creation of the Coalition for Social Justice, seeking to promote increased cooperation between UN and IFIs on social and economic issues. Of course, this really needs to be adherent to ILO standards to really work and foster social justice. Really very quickly to conclude, I know we're over time. Yesterday someone said that you cannot force people to do something, but you have to convince them. And I think workers are ready, are committed, and believe that any initiative to promote social justice should contain policy elements, prioritizing what we've been calling, and I'm really sure we all agree on that, sustainable jobs with adequate working conditions and minimum living wages, and within comprehensive social protection systems promoting equality and inclusion. That will create, positive policy interaction effects that we've been seeing yesterday as well. I think I can conclude here, and thank you very much again.
Thank you, Beatrice.
Yes,
so
thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So I think that for that, what can be helpful is to understand that workers in the informal economy are particularly vulnerable and exposed to income insecurity, especially due to the lack of coverage that often exists, or sometimes with compliance with law. Therefore, closing regulatory gaps and ensuring monitoring systems is critical to improve working and living conditions for workers in informal sectors. It's also important to national social protection systems, and also minimum wage law can have a really big impact to improve the adequacy and address these coverage gaps, and also to have a combination of incentives and enforcement measures that ensure the registration of workers, of employees. I have a couple of examples, one from Morocco that has the highest minimum wage rate in North Africa, I believe, and for workers earning peace rate wages, for example, their earnings cannot be less than the minimum wages in the country, so that really helps maintaining a decent income. And in Brazil, a domestic workers union in Sao Paulo signed a collective bargaining agreement in 2021, defining working conditions for domestic workers, for example. So this law also provides for some good practices. It provides for a minimum wage, which is also above the national minimum wage. That fixes also weekly rests, deadlines for salary payments, etc. And this really can help improve working conditions. And also from the trade union side, I think that organizing workers really has an impact in helping the formalization processes, and also having workers themselves being aware of their rights and duties. I think I'll stop here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Beatrice. And if I may, we have